Hello everybody. I haven't done a video in a while, so I've done a lot of live trade videos, so lately I've been doing more instructional videos, and I think that this is a really great topic. I'm going to talk about absorption because oftentimes it's very kind of confused about topic, and the word itself may be hard to understand. What is absorption? How does it work? Buyers absorbing sellers, sellers absorbing buyers. What does that even mean? How does it have effect on price? And so forth. So I'm going to be talking about this in the context of MBOXWAVE and Wyckoff. And what stimulated this, I guess we can call it a mini webinar, is somebody from the trading room was asking me about it. And I'm going to go ahead and show what they were asking about here. So this guy called Gus asked me, how does the histogram handle absorption? He's talking about the MBOX histogram. So I'll show that in a little bit. Let's say price is going up with no effort being done. See, the key word here is effort. The histogram is flat both ways, no supply, no demand, and so forth. And the thing is, every time someone's used the word absorption, I don't like this word particularly. And I answered him, absorption is a poor word for effort. Wyckoff had three rules in the Wyckoff method. He had the rule of supply and demand, the rule of cause and effect, and the rule of effort, no result. He didn't have a rule of absorption. It's much easier to understand in the context of effort. So that's why I say absorption is a poor word for effort, because during that absorption, we are seeing effort of some sort. Effort, as I define it, is classified as effort no result, or ease of movement, or accumulation distribution, which these correlate to the Wyckoff rules, right? So when I say effort no result, that correlates directly to Wyckoff's rule of effort no result. Accumulation distribution correlates to Wyckoff's cause and effect. And so I want to talk about, and I recommended this video because I did a ease of movement video, Apple 5-minute chart a while ago. But I'm going to jump right in and let's take a look at a chart that happened today. Here. So this is the NASDAQ from today's session, and I thought this was a great example of, we can talk about that exact question Gus had about the prices going up with no effort being done. So to an extent there's absorption happening here. So the market's open here. We kind of sloshed up and down with volatility, as NASDAQ often does, and then we began a down move, and then we had an up move, right? So at the peak of this down move here, we had overall selling was increasing. So I'd like to draw some arrows here. So overall selling is increasing, but the histogram is showing that we are decreasing. So why is this increasing? Why is this decreasing here? Because we have no buying here. So even though the selling in each of these boxes is decreasing, the overall selling is increasing because we don't have any substantial buying here that is visible. Yet, what is happening here? And this is where I'll say absorption is happening. But I'd like to change the color. Okay, so this aqua sort of color here, we're going from this valley maximum to this peak here. All of this is buying. So the buying, we're absorbing the selling going on here. And even though here we look like there's not much buying, we had a lot of buying. If you go from, this valley to this peak here, that's quite a bit of distance. Yet the overall buying here is like a third of the overall selling here. Meanwhile, price retraces let's say halfway from when it started to fall, price retraces up to the halfway mark on the overall buying, which doesn't look like much. So this would be the ease of movement. Let me change the color so it's more visible. Ease of movement. And so like here also, right? So Gus was saying, price moving and doesn't look much is going on here. It's sort of kind of horizontal and doesn't look like much, but price is going up. Well, we had all this buying absorbing the selling. So that's what happened, right? But if you just think about it as ease of movement, like price is going up on little effort of the buying and the overall buying, to me that makes more sense, right? I could just say it. If I begin using the word, absorption is happening here, it's like, what absorption? What's going on? I don't know what's going on. It like, you need to dissect it. And we have a classic sort of change of behavior here. We had, all the selling, and then we have a reversal. So one can also say that selling exhausted here, and we have a divergence between the overall selling and the actual selling, right? Like I said, the overall selling is increasing, but the box by box selling is decreasing. We just don't have the buy-in here, and that's your absorption going on. Right, so after that happens, and I have these floor ceiling lines, and we had a nice higher floor here, right here, which means, what does higher floor mean? It means price was unable to make a new low on substantial amount of volume. Right, so here, in the MBOX history on QO Delta, we're seeing the buying and selling, and these numbers we're seeing the demand and the supply. So we're looking at order flow more so than raw volume. But the M auto floor ceiling does consider volume, and volume is a requirement for it to draw these floor and ceiling lines. So when there is a floor line here, it means that there was substantial enough volume for it to be drawn, and it happened above the previous floor, so no new low. So that is important. So this also goes into our change of behavior classification. So we have the change of behavior since selling is exhausted, buying comes in with the ease of movement, and then what do we get here? Minus 146, no new low. Here we can also begin to say, another absorption is happening, because price was unable to reach a lower low here, and it reversed, and so we had a lot of supply, but very little selling, and respectively little buying here. So there's absorption of some sorts going on here. But see, if I just say this is absorption, and then this is absorption, I don't like to really use the word absorption because to me it doesn't really explain what's going on, right? So here we have ease of movement. Here we have the effort no result. Effort no result going on here at the 146, okay? Because previously you had minus 34, minus 92, and this is like substantial, minus 146 since this bottom of 209 and no new low. So that's effort no result. So, when I use these terms, ease of movement here, effort no result, those are things that we can clearly see. If I just start throwing around, absorption's happening here, on which side? Here it's clear on which side. I just don't really care for the word absorption. I think I've got that point across by now. I think it's just it's a non-specific, non-needed word that just doesn't explain to me what's going on. All right. So anyway, so looking at this example, when this move began, we had all these bid control, these big red dots. That's bid control. Here, here, and here. So we had three, and we didn't see anything until we got here, offer control. So this is where, we begin to, this is where, trading requires discretionary skills. We see that we get an offer control here. So that's the first offer control we've had since here. So it's been a while. So I would start to pay attention to that. So I would look at that. I would look at, the supply selling is decreasing in the MBOX histogram. These numbers, look at that, minus 209, minus 89, minus 29. It's like bam, 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 less, 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 higher lows. Now we get offer control. While this may not look huge buying, it is buying nonetheless, and we need to consider that in the context that, hey, it's almost noon, lunchtime, and, volatility has a different behavior, after the morning session, around lunch. So, we're not going to get these huge up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, because there's less volatility, less volume. But, if we kind of zoom in, sort of, we'll see that, retrospectively, it's actually a decent amount of buying here comparing to when this selling is decreasing. So we do get a bang of buying here and another bang of buying here. So that requires a little bit of skill to notice that. You might have to, slide the chart or zoom in, zoom out to see these things. But when you're trading, you have to take into consideration the context, the volatility, and the time of day, because NASDAQ is very volatile in the morning, and then as you can see, is less volatile in terms of the order flow around lunch and after lunch, yet price is moving up. Okay, same concept supply. We just got to notice these things. And so after this down move, we're going up. I'm just going to cover a little bit here because sometimes people say, okay, we got different signals. What do they mean? Yada, yada. We got an upthrust here with the stooges and a pullback. It's like, that's why I say we don't just only look at signals. We look at the context, right? And a failed signal can provide you even more information, right? So when we get these upthrusts, we see that, hey, the selling got exhausted. There's nothing going on in the histogram. You wouldn't short here. In fact, as they fail, that gives you a stronger position for you to go long, right? And we have also change of behavior in the M auto floor ceiling. We begin getting ceiling lines here, bam, 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 and a trend begins. So it's also important to notice, right? The demand came in at 290 here, and that is, something to pay attention to. The last swing down was a minus 209, so 290 has to be important. We got the demand, X control of the offers, higher floor. We did get buying in the MBOX histogram. We see the ease of movement in the cumulative delta. We see this effort, no result. I mean, we're getting like that 10 points of confluence here for taking a long position after this signal, maybe around here, maybe as we break out of these ceiling lines here and these upthrusts fail. And also regarding the X pace, since we had this huge pace of bids, it's not quite clear what's going on here. So again, we need to zoom in or move the chart, and we see that we get with this bang of buying, we get the pace of offers comes in here. So in the context of lower volatility around lunch and after lunch, this is important. So I think this is a really great example of so-called absorption, but I like to better classify them as ease of movement and effort no result, because they are different things. Otherwise, if I say this absorption, well, what absorption? Gotta say exactly what it means for it to make sense. So, this was also the classical change of behavior. A change of behavior. Anyway, I think I'll end here, but that's good that the guy Gus asked the question on the in the trading room, and if people have more questions, I'll be happy to cover more topics. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you next time.